the mommy logs. The psychotic world of womanhood and motherhood is crazier beyond what any man can fathom or even imagine.
I spent most of my 20s faithfully trying not to get pregnant. When we were finally ready to have a baby, 6 months of trying, nothing. Another 6 months, still nothing.
I started reading books about fertility.
I had my monthly ovulation day marked in my day timer.
And finally, that stick had 2 pink lines.
Hallelujah! Now, once your baby bump begins to show, then the insanity really begins.
Suddenly, every stranger on the planet is taking the liberty of touching your belly.
Every woman you meet is giving you advice and telling you horrific stories about their childbirthing experience.
You have to nurse. It's the best thing for them.
Forget nursing. It's like a leech is attached to you all day long.
I nursed my daughter till she was 3 years old. It's a beautiful bonding experience. Let them nurse as long as they want.
Only nurse for a month, then switch to half breast, half bottom.
No caffeine, no deli meat, no fish, and definitely do not tan.
Do not dye your hair. Don't get those nails done. And the high heels you're wearing, forget about it.
I drank caffeine all day long while I was pregnant, and my kids turned out just fine. A little hyper maybe, but fine.
Don't have the epidural. You can do it without it. Come on, girl.
Don't be a martyr, take the drugs.
While I was pregnant, man, did I have some weird cravings, all those crazy hormonal imbalances.
Kegel exercises, remember those? I didn't do them just when I was in the bathroom. I did them all day long. While I was doing the dishes, I even did them at every stoplight.
I used to have a strong bladder, but I'll remember when I was in aerobics class when I was pregnant, the instructor started saying, "Let's do jumping jacks." Boy, was I glad I had a spare pair of panties in my gym bag.
After I finally pushed that giant baby's head out, the doctor said we had to wait at least 6 weeks. I looked at him and said, "Doctor, it's gonna be a lot longer than that."
While you're lying in the labor and delivery room, and there's more people around you than when you're driving in the interloop, you lose all sense of dignity. Forget having your own private space. You're an open book now.
As I was lying in the delivery room, having contractions, 2 minutes apart, some size 2 nurse comes up to me and starts asking me my weight, my medical insurance information, my address. Then I look over at my husband sitting there and say, "Why don't you ask him? Does he look busy right now?"
So, as my kids grew older, I started reading them fairy tales and nursery rhymes, and as I was reading through them, I discovered it's a conspiracy.
For example, Rockabye Baby, how creepy it is to think that the baby is gonna fall out of a tree.
Or Ring Around the Rosie, pocket full of Posy, who sings to a child about the stench of dead bodies and turning into ashes.
Or how about the 3 little pigs that boil the wolf alive?
Or the farmer's wife with the butcher's knife.
So I started changing all the ends to those nursery rhymes, afraid that my kids would have nightmares. Then I realized I didn't even know the whole story to these nursery rhymes because my mom changed them for me. Then I realized I'm becoming as paranoid as my mother.
I feel like my mom every time I say those super embarrassing lines like, "If it itches, you're not wiping it the right way."
Or because I said so.
Or because I'm the mom.
Or how about Mommy and Daddy sleep sleep in the same bed to keep warm.
Or how about explaining to your kids that a tubal ligation is like going on a ride with the doctor?
Or those coasters on the coffee table aren't coasters, they're nursing pads.
I just can't wait for this whole breastfeeding thing to be over with.
I know, it's the worst. Mine started leaking during a meeting yesterday. Ugh.
I just want to know what acceptable places can you nurse in public?
I just nurse wherever I am, whenever she wants to eat.
But what about if you're in the food court at the mall and she's hungry? Do you whip it right out there in the open?
Just feed her right there in the food court. Everybody else is eating. Why shouldn't she?
I just use a breast pump. It's the best thing I ever bought. I even use it at the office.
Remember what life was like before kids?
I remember shaving my legs.
Remember shopping back when it was a pleasant, peaceful experience?
Or even reading?
Reading, yes. Books with no pictures, just big grown-up words and a juicy story.
Remember romance?
Romance? I think that went out with the placenta.
I miss having a social life. Where am I supposed to make friends now? At the playground?
Yeah, I make friends at the playground all the time. I've even perfected some super great pickup lines like, is your son using that swing? Or what's your daughter's name? When we start chatting, I just hope we're compatible.
So I finally made some friends at the playground the other day. And me and the mom started exchanging numbers and making an appointment in our calendars for a play date. And then I heard squeals of laughter coming from the other kids at the playground. I look over and there's my son peeing in an arc off the jungle gym trying to hit a tree. My husband taught him to pee outside, not me. Then I look back over at these moms and they have this look of disgust.
So I tried to make friends with the women at my playground, and I can't even stand up. They're really obnoxious.
I know, like that mom who talks in the super high voice so everybody can hear you. She says things like, Johnny, don't hit your sister. We love each other. We're a family. Who says that?
Or the moms that look like they stepped right out of a fashion magazine. How do they even find the time?
How about the mom that's always running in the mommy Olympics? Ugh, drives me nuts. She's always way more in shape than you, and her kids are in like 5 sports each. Ugh.
So, the other day, my daughter finally lost her first tooth. What a production. First she was excited, and then she was scared, and then started the list of questions. Who is the tooth fairy? What does she do with all those teeth? And where does she get the money from? Oh, who knew it was going to be such a big ordeal?
My daughter got scared of the tooth fairy, and so we had to write a whole note and leave it in the mailbox so the tooth fairy wouldn't come in the house, but she would still leave the money in the mailbox.
At least you had money. I had to go knock on the neighbor's door and ask them for some change. All this just to keep a story going that she'll eventually find out isn't even true. Motherhood is a perfect blend of ecstasy and agony.
But I wouldn't trade 1 minute of it.
And I think it's safe to say we would all do it again.